Have you ever wondered what makes a man think about you all day long? I'm not talking about a quick memory or a passing thought. I'm talking about occupying his mind in the morning, afternoon, and evening. When he's at work, when he's out with friends, when he's on his phone, you pop up in his thoughts again, almost like a song you can't get out of your head. The truth is that there are emotional and psychological triggers that make a man unable to stop thinking about a woman. It's not about perfect beauty. It's not about a sculptural body. It's not about makeup or expensive clothes. It's about how you activate parts of his mind that stir deep feelings, desire, curiosity, respect, and even admiration. And here's a revelation. Men don't fall in love logically. They may even believe that they have chosen someone rationally, but in practice their brains are driven by emotions and signals that are often invisible. It's as if you have the secret remote control that decides when and how he will think about you. If you've ever found yourself asking, does he miss me? Does he think about me when we're not together? Or even, what can I do to be on his mind all the time? Then this video is for you. In the next few minutes, I'm going to unlock this hidden code of the male mind. I'll show you why some men can't forget certain women and at the same time, why others forget quickly, even after intense moments. Think about it. There is a type of woman who appears once in a man's life and never leaves his mind. Years may pass, he may have other relationships, he may even get married, but all it takes is a memory, a photo, a song, and the image of that woman returns with full force. Have you ever met someone like that? Well, it doesn't happen by chance. There is a clear psychology behind it, and you'll discover step by step how to apply these triggers in a natural and authentic way. It's not manipulation, it's not dirty tricks. It's simply understanding how the male brain works and using that to your advantage. Throughout this video, we'll explore together the two main reasons that make a man truly fall in love, how small everyday actions can leave an emotional mark on him, and why being available and predictable is not always the best strategy for being unforgettable. And I need you to understand one thing right now. It doesn't matter how old you are, what you look like, or how much experience you have in relationships. These principles work because they speak directly to the emotional part of the male brain. In other words, they work for any man. Now, before we dive in, I want you to do a quick exercise. Think of that man you would like to think about you all the time. It could be someone you are already in a relationship with, or even someone who hasn't realized how special you are yet. Visualize this man in your mind. Imagine him opening his cell phone, smiling to himself as he remembers you, or commenting to a friend about something you experienced together. Did you feel the power of that image? Well, know that it can become a reality. So get ready, because in the next few sections I'm going to show you exactly how to plant these emotional seeds in his mind so that they grow day after day. This is a power that few women understand, but it can completely change the way a man sees and remembers you. To understand how to make a man think about you all day long, we first need to understand how the male mind works when it comes to attraction and love. Men are taught from an early age to hide their emotions, to be strong, rational, and even a little cold. But in reality, behind this facade, there is an emotional mechanism that, when touched in the right way, makes them unable to stop thinking about someone. An important point is that men are visual, but not only visual. They may be attracted to your appearance at first, but what really captures their mind is what you awaken emotionally. This means that beauty can attract attention, but emotion is what creates memories. Psychology shows that there are three main pillars that make a man feel connected and unable to forget a woman. Unexpected emotional stimulation. When you do something that breaks the mold, that surprises him, his brain activates a system called dopamine. It's like a signal of novelty that generates pleasure and makes him want to repeat the experience. The scarcity trigger. Men value what they don't have easy access to. When you show independence, when you have your own life, your own plans, and you're not always 100% available, it creates a feeling in his mind that you are rare, and everything that is rare becomes valuable. The effective memory. It doesn't matter if it was a small gesture, a funny phrase, or even a different look. If that moment generates emotion in him, it is recorded in his brain. Every time he experiences something similar in the future, his mind pulls up the memory, and there you are again. And here's an interesting fact. Men may forget important dates, but they never forget how a woman made them feel. This explains why, years later, a man may remember a single conversation or a specific smile. He may not remember what you were wearing, but he remembers the feeling of lightness, the laughter, the surprise, or the connection you shared. Another psychological factor is challenge. The male mind is naturally competitive. When he feels he needs to conquer something, his brain interprets it as a game and releases energy to devote to that goal. So when a woman shows interest but doesn't give in right away, he feels compelled to invest more time and attention in her. Every detail becomes a small victory. Now pay attention to this. Many women believe that to be remembered, they need to be always available, send messages all the time, or try their hardest to please. But the effect is the opposite. When you do that, the male mind loses its sense of challenge and interest wanes. The secret is not to insist, but to create space for him to miss you. It is in this space that thoughts about you flourish. Think of it like a song. If you listen to the same song over and over, you eventually get tired of it. But when you listen to it once, then some time passes and suddenly it plays again, the impact is much greater. That's exactly how it works with men. When you know how to balance presence and absence, the emotional impact increases and the memory is strengthened. And here's a fascinating detail. Most men associate intense emotions with specific moments. If you can be present in those moments, even if they are simple, like a deep conversation on a quiet night or a joke shared in the middle of a stressful day, his brain automatically links that emotional state to your presence. The result? Whenever he feels something similar, thoughts of you appear without him realizing it. In other words, it's not about trying to control what he thinks, but rather about creating experiences and emotional triggers that become part of his routine. The more he associates you with good, curious, or memorable feelings, the more his mind will effortlessly pull up your image. Now that we understand the psychological basis, in the next section, I will reveal the first big reason why men fall in love with a woman and can't get her out of their heads. Now that you understand how male psychology works, let's reveal the first big reason why a man truly falls in love and starts thinking about you constantly. This reason can be summed up in one word: admiration. A man may feel physical attraction to many women, but he only becomes truly attached to a woman when he feels admiration for her. This is because deep down, a man wants to be with someone who inspires him, who makes him feel proud and even gives him the feeling that he has found someone special, different from all the others. And here's the important detail. Admiration doesn't come only from what you have, but mainly from who you are. It's your attitude, your choices, the way you speak, how you position yourself, how you deal with challenges. When he realizes that you have value in yourself, that you don't need him to be complete, but still choose him to be by your side, it triggers something deep in his mind. Think about it. Men may like very beautiful women, but beauty alone is not enough to hold their attention for long. What really captivates him is when he feels he is in front of someone who carries a unique energy, who has her own sparkle, who commands respect. It's as if he thinks, I can't lose this woman, because she's not ordinary. Admiration is also linked to your ability to surprise him. When you show that you know how to talk about different subjects, that you have your own interests, that you know how to laugh at yourself, or that you can face difficult moments with maturity, it deeply moves him. You become not only attractive but unforgettable. Now see how this connects to everyday life. Imagine that he is at work facing a complicated problem. Unconsciously, he may remember how you deal with tense situations calmly and confidently. Or maybe he sees someone defending an idea with courage and it reminds him of the time you took a firm stand in a conversation. These little flashes of memory effortlessly bring you back to his mind. This is where admiration turns into constant remembrance, because his brain isn't just thinking of you as a romantic partner, but as a reference, an example, someone who adds something real to his life, and that's powerful. Another key detail: admiration comes when you stay true to yourself. Many women believe that to please a man they need to change who they are, hide their opinions, or mold themselves to fit what he wants. But the truth is that this has the opposite effect. What makes a man truly fall in love is realizing that you have your own identity and that you don't have to give it up to be with him. Deep down, men are proud to introduce a woman they admire to their friends, family, and colleagues. They don't say it out loud, but it's as if there's a voice inside them saying, "Look who's by my side, I'm lucky." This kind of thinking reinforces the idea that you are rare, and the rarer you seem, the more his mind will fixate on you. And here's a practical secret. You don't have to be perfect to generate admiration. What catches a man's attention is the combination of your qualities and the authentic way you deal with your imperfections. For example, if you make a mistake but can laugh at yourself, it shows confidence. If you go through a difficult phase but don't lose hope, It shows resilience. These attitudes create a powerful image in his mind. In short, the first reason a man can't stop thinking about you is because he admires who you are. And that admiration comes from your character, your authenticity, and the way you live your life. In the next few minutes, we'll delve deeper into this with real stories and examples that show how admiration can completely transform the way a man thinks about a woman. Now that you understand that admiration is the first big reason why a man falls in love and thinks about you nonstop, I want to show you some practical examples to make this even clearer. Often, it is through stories that we can see how these principles work in real life. Imagine the following situation. A woman named Anna works in an office. She is not the most beautiful woman in the company, nor the most popular. But Anna has a striking characteristic. She always remains calm in moments of pressure. When a problem arises, instead of panicking, she takes a deep breath, thinks, and proposes solutions. Her colleagues come to trust her, and her bosses respect her. Now, a man who interacts with Anna on a daily basis begins to notice this behavior. Without realizing it, he begins to admire her, not only for what she does, but for what she conveys: confidence and balance. This man may not admit it right away, but his mind begins to seek her presence, even outside of work. It is admiration turning into a constant memory. Another example is Mariana. She was passionate about art and always had something new to share about music, books, or movies. When talking to friends or even someone she was just getting to know, Mariana was not afraid to express her opinions, but she did so lightly, without imposing anything. What happened? The people around her, especially men, saw her as an interesting woman with her own sparkle. She didn't need to make a big effort to get attention. The simple fact that she was authentic made her memorable. How many times do you think someone ended a conversation with her and thought, "What a different person. I want to see her again"? These examples show something fundamental. Admiration comes from attitudes that seem simple, but leave a deep impression. And this also happens in romantic relationships. Consider the case of Julia and Ricardo. They had been dating for a few months, and Ricardo was always surprised by the way Julia dealt with challenges. One day, their car broke down in the middle of the road. Instead of complaining or panicking, Julia started laughing at the situation and said, "This will be a story to tell." Then she helped him look for a solution. Years later, Ricardo confessed that this was one of the moments when he realized he couldn't live without her. It wasn't a romantic dinner or an expensive gift that stuck in his memory, but rather the way she dealt with a problem with lightness. Now see how this works in practice. When a man encounters a woman he admires, his brain activates repetition mechanisms. This means that the more he remembers that attitude or that quality, the more her image automatically appears. It's as if his mind says, "This woman is rare. I can't forget her." And what's most interesting is that admiration is not easily lost over time. Have you ever noticed that some people go years without talking to each other, but all it takes is one reunion for everything to come back to the surface? This happens because admiration creates lasting emotional memories. Even as time passes, the impact remains alive. Another story that illustrates this is that of Carla. She was independent, had her routine, friends, and clear goals. When she started dating Felipe, she never gave up her own life. She continued going to the gym, cultivating her friendships, and dedicating herself to her work. Felipe realized that she didn't revolve around him. This made him think about her all the time, precisely because she was different from the other women he knew, who seemed to live only to please. Her independence was a source of admiration and made him value her more every day. These stories show that admiration is not linked to being perfect, but to being consistent and true to who you are. When a man realizes this, it doesn't matter if he's in traffic, in a meeting, or even distracted with friends. At some point, his thoughts return to you. Deep down, what really sticks in a man's mind is how you inspire him, how you make him reflect, and even how you challenge him to be better. That kind of memory is too powerful to fade easily. Now that we understand the power of admiration through these examples, in the next section we'll talk about the second big reason why men fall in love and can't forget a woman. If the first reason a man falls in love is admiration, the second reason is something equally powerful: emotional connection. And here's the truth: a man may be enchanted by your beauty. He may admire your qualities, but he only falls deeply and lastingly in love when there is an emotional connection that makes him feel something unique when he is with you. But what exactly does emotional connection mean? It's when he realizes that being with you goes beyond superficial conversations, beyond ordinary encounters, beyond routine. It's when he feels he can be himself without fear of judgment. It's when you can access parts of his mind and heart that he doesn't share with anyone else. This connection is born from moments when you listen attentively, without rushing to respond. Show empathy by putting yourself in his shoes. Demonstrate vulnerability by sharing your own weaknesses. Make him feel safe to show what he normally hides from the world. Men, for the most part, don't talk openly about their feelings. Many have been taught to repress their emotions, to swallow their tears, to never show weakness. But when they find a woman who offers them space to open up, it has a huge impact. It's as if they can finally breathe a sigh of relief and think, with her, I can be myself. And what happens when that sets in? He begins to associate your presence with comfort, peace, trust, and even freedom. Every time he feels the need to vent, laugh without filters, or feel understood, his mind will immediately bring you to the forefront. A clear example: imagine that a man is having a difficult day at work. He is frustrated, tired, and full of problems. Instead of listening to criticism or ready-made advice, you just listen to him, support him, and convey calm. This creates in his mind the memory that, with you, he doesn't have to be perfect. This feeling of acceptance becomes an invisible but very strong bond. Another key detail: emotional connection also stems from authenticity. When you show that you are not playing a role, but rather being who you really are, men notice this. They feel they can trust you, and trust is the fertile ground where lasting memories grow. In addition, small everyday things reinforce this connection. A simple, "I thought of you" message at an unexpected moment, an affectionate gesture, a look that conveys complicity, all of this accumulates and creates an increasingly strong emotional memory. And here's an important revelation. For many men, emotional connection is rarer than you might think. They may have dates, they may have relationships, but they rarely find someone who really makes them feel seen and understood. That's why, when that connection happens, it becomes unforgettable. Emotional connection doesn't mean you'll never have disagreements. It means that even in difficult times, there is a deep bond that keeps you connected. It means that he can think about you during the day not only because of the good times, but also because he feels that you are part of who he is. Now imagine the effect of this combination: admiration plus emotional connection. When a man admires who you are and at the same time feels a deep connection with you, he not only thinks about you all day long, he begins to believe that you are irreplaceable. And that's exactly what we're going to talk about in the next section. Real stories and examples of how emotional connection can completely transform the way a man sees a woman and why, even as time passes, he can't get her out of his head. We have reached the end of our journey, and now it's time to bring together everything we've talked about so far. We've seen that the two main reasons that make a man think about you all the time are admiration and emotional connection. These are the invisible pillars that keep your presence alive in his mind no matter where he is. But to make this even clearer, I want to share some stories that show the power of these two elements together. Let's imagine the story of Laura and Daniel. Laura has always been an independent woman who had her own projects and didn't give up on her personal dreams. Daniel admired her for that because he saw in her a strength and determination that he deeply respected. But beyond that, Laura also knew how to listen. When Daniel felt insecure, she was there, not to judge him, but to welcome him. The result? Daniel couldn't go a day without thinking about her. When he was at work, he remembered her strength. When he felt vulnerable, he remembered her support. The combination of admiration and emotional connection made her unforgettable. Another example is Pedro and Camila. Camila had a cheerful disposition and always had a good story to tell. She wasn't the most perfect person, but she knew how to laugh at her own mistakes and turn simple moments into memorable ones. Pedro admired her for her authenticity, but what really won him over was the way she created emotional connections. Once he went through a difficult time in his family, and instead of just saying everything will be fine, Camila stood by him in silence, held his hand, and showed that she was there for him. That gesture remained etched in Pedro's mind, and to this day he says he has never met anyone who made him feel so understood. These stories show that the secret is not in following complicated rules or becoming someone you are not. The real power lies in being authentic, valuing your own identity, and at the same time allowing the man to feel that he can be himself by your side. Now, I want you to imagine the following scene. A man is in the middle of a busy day. full of problems to solve. He picks up his cell phone, opens his messages, and finds something from you. It doesn't have to be a long statement, but a simple reminder that activates the feeling of connection. Automatically, he smiles. At that moment, his mind is transported to the two of you. This is what happens when admiration and emotional connection come together. You become part of his routine, even without being physically present. And this is where the big conclusion comes in. You don't have to chase after a man to make him think about you. You don't have to force yourself to be someone else. What really makes a difference is living authentically and cultivating moments of genuine connection. When a man admires your essence and feels that connection, there's no escaping it. You'll occupy his mind morning, noon, and night. Now, I want to invite you to reflect. What attitudes in your daily life show who you really are? And what moments can you create to generate a true connection with the one you love? Think about it, because it's precisely these little details that build great memories. And before I close, I want to tell you one last thing. You deserve to be remembered, you deserve to be valued, and you deserve to experience a love where the man thinks about you not just today, but every day. If this content made sense to you, if it opened your eyes to better understand the male mind, then don't keep it to yourself. Like this video, share it with a friend who also needs to hear this, and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next content I'll be preparing for you. Because here we talk about male psychology in a simple, clear, and practical way, so you can understand once and for all how men's minds work, and how to use that knowledge to live healthier, happier, and more authentic relationships. Thank you for staying with me this far. And remember, when a man admires who you are and feels a deep connection with you, he doesn't just think about you all day. He comes to believe that there is no one else like you.